Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals. I am Sir Patrick. I'll be your host today. I am in the driver's seat with Runick Bystial with a little bit of Branded, and we're going second here against K9 Mitsurugi. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Drawing our 5-card hand here, we got 3 Runicks in the hand. That is great to see because they are all board breakers, Flashing Fire destroys, Freezing Curses negates. So he's going to have a tough time here. He's going to go Fool Loss and Draw Phase just in case I had any extra deck plays that lets him draw. He's going to go Jokal, reveal Lupus here, and use Jokal's effect to add any non-Aqua Canine. Come to me, Canine Noroi. He's going to go 2 bodies here into the Canine Ripper, and then detach 1 to search for another Canine monster, which this time it's going to be the Canine Izuna, which is essentially just a hand trap that lets him summon any XZ monster on my turn. Normal summon Noroi because I have 2 or more cards in my hand, and then he gets to special summon any Canine monster from his deck except itself. He's going to add it to his hand here because he'll realize he'll need to summon it later. Then we're going to go Case for Canine to search for some follow-up. Yep, there we go, realizing he needs to summon it. So we're going to go Case for Canine to search for a Canine Jokal. Then he's going to use Lantern's effect to search for a spell. Right now he's going Noroi to look at my hand by sending his case to the graveyard, so he just knows what's in store for him. Yeah, he's going to resolve that Lantern effect to search for any quick play spell. Alright, so he's going to add himself that Case for Canine for follow-up. Then we're going to go skip it forward ahead a little bit, so we're going to go 2 bodies into the artifact Durendal. Durendal has an interesting effect to change my effect to pop a spell trap he controls. Now, how did he summon that Durendal? Because Noroi says on the card that he cannot special summon for the extra deck except K9 monsters with the monster that he summoned. So that's a little bit of an illegal play here, but let's go into the card's effect. Let's say my opponent controls Durendal and I control SP. I go SP Chainlink 1, targeting his Durendal, and he goes Durendal Chainlink 2. Can he change my effect to pop a spell trap if he has no spell traps? So I'll put your answers in the comments and see, because I'm going to tell you the ruling here in just a second. You, in fact, cannot activate Durendal if you have no spell and traps, because you can't change the effect to be an illegal effect. So that's an interesting ruling there. Moving on to my turn, my opponent's going to set 1 card. I'm going to draw Phonics for turn, which is a really good card because it just summons itself when I activate a quick play spell, and my deck is full to the brim of them. We're going to go Runick Tip here to add a Runick Fountain. Runick Fountain is the core card of my deck. It allows me to activate Runick quick play spells from hand during either player's turn, as well as draws me cards up to the number of Runick quick play spells I have in my graveyard after I activate one. I'm going to play the Runick Fountain here. He's deciding if he wants to respond. He doesn't, so I'm going to go Bystial Regained, and we'll go more on that later. Instant, starting to check his field, I'm going to go Runick Flashing Fire onto his Ripper, get rid of that monster negate. He's going to chain the Force Release here in order to summon and then non-target pop a card on my field. I'm going to, in response to that, chain the Freezing Curses to summon a Runick monster from my extra deck, which protects my cards, so he can no longer pop what he wants to pop. So he's just reading it to make sure that's what it does. He's going to go into the Canine Werewolf, which has some interesting effects that we'll see come up later. I'm going to banish my Huggin here in order to protect my Runick Fountain. And if you thought the chains were done, they've only just begun, because we're going to go Chainlink 1, Runick Fountain, target 3 quick play spells in my graveyard, put them back in the deck to draw 3. Branded Regain, target my banished Huggin to draw 1 card, and then we're going to go Phonics to summon itself to Chainlink block it all from like an Ash or a Bell, anything like that. He's going to chain his Werewolf to look at my hand, banish my Phonics away so I do not get that free body. So, but we got to resolve the rest. Regain, draw 1, and we're going to go 3 draws for the Runick Fountain. I drew into some more Bystials here, so we're going to keep on playing. We're going to go Bystial Lubellion here to search for any Bystial monster. And because I activated a card in my hand, he can now chain his Izuna to summon itself, as well as summon any extra deck monster on my turn. Broken. I'm going to resolve my Lubellion here, searching the Magma. Magma is all the Bystials can summon themselves by banishing a light or dark from the grave. But he's going to go Lupus here to summon itself onto the field, and then quick XZ into any XZ monster. So he's going to put those 2 bodies together into the Nash Knight, which essentially just has the effect to non-target take one of my monsters under it as a material. We're going to go Bystial Magma here, banishing the Lubellion, summoning itself onto the field. We're going to go our Slumber here to summon any Runick monster from the extra deck. All the Runicks have that spell. have that effect, so they're all pretty good in that way, because they're all free bodies, essentially. He okays that, so we're going to go 2 bodies into the Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel's an interesting card here. If you use light monsters for its summon, it will be unaffected by opponent's card effects, but I only use dark, so it's only indestructible by battle. On summon, it also has the effect to non-target banish a card on control. I tried to target the Nash Knight, but that don't work because he has the Lupus under it, so I end up banishing his Werewolf instead. Alright, thinking about our next plays here, we're going to go Bystial. I'm just reading the Nash Knight, making sure it doesn't have anything funny on it. So we're going to go Bystial Sereneer, summoning itself by banishing a Lighter Dark from his graveyard. And he's going to end up responding to the summon. He's going to chain his Nash Knight here, so problem solved. He's going to take one of my monsters here. He's going to take my strong guy, Chaos Angel. Because my opponent summoned 2 or more times from the extra deck, I get to summon from my extra deck, Typhon Sky Crisis. This allows me to detach a material and bounce 1 monster on the field, as well as when the Sereneer is detached, it allows me to send a Bystial from the deck to the graveyard. In the end phase here, we're gonna resolve that Werewolf, as well as adding ourselves a Baldrake off of our MacXiMi. For my opponent's turn, I have a couple of disruptions. First, we have Flashing Fire, which can destroy a special summon monster, Baldrake, which contribute another Lighter Dark in order to banish one of those special summon monsters from the extra deck. Then I have Swarm, where if I tribute it with the Baldrake, can send another monster on the field to the graveyard, as well as Typhon, a Floodgate, which says 3,000 or more cannot activate, which will come up later. And we also, if we activate a quick play spell, we should be able to get out Phonics, which will be able to target 2 cards on my opponent controls, shuffle them back into the deck. So a lot of powerful disruptions off of what seems like nothing on my field right now. Alright, moving on to the opponent's turn. He's going to draw for turn, and he's going to start things off with activating a Case for Canine, searching himself a canine monster. Now, it also has a separate effect that we weren't really thinking of. I'm going to chain my Baldrake here to banish a Lighter Dark in order to summon it. Then I'm going to go regain, target my Chaos Angel, put it back into the extra deck in order to draw myself a card. Normal summon Noroi here. He's going to be able to normal summon it because I have 2 or more cards in my hand. Then he's going to attempt to special summon a canine monster from the deck. Now, then we're going to activate our Brand Regain, summoning our Swarm. Now, how did he summon that Yugioh? Typhon says neither player with 3,000 or higher can activate, while a Case for Canine says if your opponent activated a monster effect in the hand, your canines gain 900 attack, and I activated my Baldrake. So this Noroi, which is originally 2,200 attack, is now at 3,100. So he cannot activate this Noroi, but we don't realize that in the moment. So we're gonna go Flashing Fire here, destroy that Yugioh, then we're gonna go Runick Fountain, target 2 cards, put it back in the deck, and Chainlink 2 Phonics to Chainlink block it from an Ash, and anything like that. He's gonna chain his Durendal here, which had a secret effect I didn't know about. He's gonna detach a material, shuffle my entire hand back into the deck, and I'll draw the same number of cards I shuffled, which successfully stops my Phonics for the 2nd time. So I'm going to draw the amount of cards that I drew, and then I'm going to resolve my Runick Fountain to put back 2 cards into the deck and draw 2 cards. A hand full of Runics here, so we just got a bunch more disruptions, but we're going to go, he's going to go Prayers. Prayers is a new card. It allows him to tribute a monster and search and summon, but he only chooses the first effect to search. I'm going to chain Runick Tip here, adding myself a Flashing Fire, which is the monster negate. Moving on, he's going to activate the once per duel effect of Ame no Habakiri. He's going to summon a Saji from the deck and tribute that Saji, and that triggers Saji's effect to add 1 Mitsurugi spell trap from his deck to his hand. You don't see many once per duel effects in Yu-Gi-Oh, but if there is a once per duel on it, it's probably really powerful. He searched for the ritual here, which is going to activate the ritual, which allows him to ritual summon a ritual monster from the deck. He's going to ritual summon Ame no Murakumo. Murakumo has the on summon effect to simply destroy all monsters I control, but because I have the Typhon, he can't activate that. So he just gets to search off the Habakiri. I'm going to chain my Baldrake here to tribute off my Swarm and banish his Murakumo. Then, after he resolves his chain, to search, he's gonna, off of the Habakiri, he's gonna search for the mirror. New chain here, he tries to summon it, but it wasn't properly summoned, so it's gonna stay in his graveyard. Then we're gonna go Druid Swarm because it was sent to the grave to send his Durendal, get that pesky card out of here. Let's see what else he has for me. Looks like he has nothing else, so he's just gonna go straight into the battle phase. Battle phase with Noroi over the Typhon, and this is where I realized, hey, that's 31, so that couldn't activate it, but we're gonna keep on going. So, at the end of the battle phase, he gets to set his K9 Force Release, which says if a K9 monster battled, just set it. Cool. Alright. Then he's gonna slap his own Typhon on top. So that's something I have to deal with. It's not going to be too impactful for me because I don't have many monsters with 3,000 or higher. Starting things off here, we're going to go for the Lubellion in a second. Yep, we're going to go Lubellion, add ourselves a Bystial. We're going to add ourselves a Saronir, and we're going to immediately summon this Saronir. It's just checking what he has in his graveyard, so we're going to go Saronir, target the Saji. Get that out of here because it's easy to reborn, so we're gonna get that out. So we're gonna put it back in the deck and draw one with the branded Regained. Alright, next thing, we drew into that Destruction, so we're gonna go Destruction, target his back row, destroy it, just to banish 4 cards off the top of his deck, getting rid of Azuna. Then we're gonna go for the Flashing Fire, destroy his Typhon, banish another 3 cards off the top. Then we're gonna go Runick Fountain for 3 here, and Phonics, finally getting this Phonics onto the field. We have a lot of disruption here. There's no way he's playing through this, but we're gonna go Fallen and the Virtuous, new card, which gets to pop a card on the field and send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, which has a trigger effect in my end phase. We're gonna set another copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous, think about going into something else from the extra deck, but we decide we value that Baldrake more. In our end phase here, we get to trigger out Titanclad, which summons any Dogmatica monster from the deck or Fallen of Albaz. We're going to go Quem here. Quem is going to send a Fallen of Albaz or a card that mentions it from the deck to the graveyard. And I'm going to pass back to my opponent. He realizes he's got nothing, so he's going to scoop him up. Alright, on to siding. Siding is a really important part of Yugioh because you need to go second. So going second, you have to choose what cards you'd rather put in, what cards you need to take out. So I'm going to go through my siding process here. Going second, you really want going second cards, and Pirellia is one of those cards, which says every time your opponent special summons from the hand, you get a draw. And my deck is full to the brim with hand traps and everything, so I get to have Flashing Fires to pop, I get to have Freezing Curses to negate, so I decided to side in more Pirellias just so I can draw into those cards, and it will actually come really well in handy. And one Meows, which says from the graveyard I get to summon. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. New channel, so tell me what you think. Alright, on to game 2. We're going second against the K9 Mitsurugi deck, and we do end up drawing that Pirellia. So you'll see, we're going to drop Pirellia in the draw phase. Every time he special summons in the hand, I get a +1. I think that's pretty good for me. So we're going to start things off here with Mitsurugi Rich Prayers, which allows him to add the once per duel Habakiri. He's gonna go now next. He's just thinking about his plays, thinking about how he's gonna play under the Pirellia. It's really tough in this situation because all of his monsters summoned from hand. He's gonna end up going for the Noroi. Noroi is summoned from deck. He's getting a lot of screen time this episode. Going into the Jokul. Jokul's gonna add him one non-Aqua K9 monster from his deck to his hand. He's gonna go for the Lantern. 2 bodies here into the K9 Ripper. Ripper detach. Gonna search himself another K9 monster. Gonna go for the case for K9. Now he had the option to set another quick play spell, but he decided not to. I'm guessing he drew it. So he's gonna search for the K9 Jokul, and then he's gonna go Lantern effect. Lantern target his Noroi, and because that's another summon from hand, I get a +1. Then he's gonna go Noroi, look at my hand, and he sees I have a lot of board breakers here, and you'll see how I dismantle his board in a minute. 2 bodies into the Valon. Valon's an interesting card. It just lets you book a monster, and if you manage to get rid of it and send it to the graveyard, it'll pop one of your back row cards or the monster that it booked. So let's go. Starting off with my turn here, I decide to start with Special Summon Ecclesia. Because he has more monsters than I do, I get to summon it, and that summons Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is a really scary card for my opponent because it says I can fusion summon using either player's field, and he has to respond by getting rid of the Albaz. There's no other way he can stop this effect, not with the Valon, because he can still fuse with face down monsters. He can't stop it, so I go for 2 bodies into the Dragon That Devours Dogma. This is completely unaffected from all activated card effects while I have the Ecclesia in the graveyard, and on summon it's going to shuffle 2 cards back from either player's graveyard into the deck. So I'm just going to go for my Baldrake here that I discarded so I can search it later. Next, we're going to go for the special summon effect of Runick Freezing Curses. We get to special summon our Hugin, and Hugin's on-field effect lets you discard a card and search for that much-needed Runick Fountain. Let's search for that Runick Fountain here. Going to play the Runick Fountain so that we can get those draws off, and then we're going to go Magnamut. Magnamut target anything in his grave. I'm going to go for the Jokul, and then I'm going to go Magnamut effect to search for a Bystial during the end phase. I think about going for other plays here, but I think I'm just going to search for a Baldrake, so I have that Baldrake Disruption next turn, and I have the Freezing Curses. That should be enough to deal with his follow-up. So I decided to just attempt to pass here, but when I try to pass, he goes Lupus effect to summon from hand, Izuna effect to summon from hand, so he can go into any XZ monster on my turn. Let's see what he does. He tries to go for an XZ, but I have the Flashing Fires for it, so he cannot XZ with one monster. So Lupus effect, and then I'm going to go Lupus effect's negated, so now I'm going to go for Runick Fountain. Runick Fountain, target 2 cards in my graveyard, shuffle them back, draw 2 cards. I draw into a Fallen in the Virtuous, don't mind if I do, and we're going to pass to our opponent. Alright, I'm going to resolve my Magnamite also during this end phase, adding myself that much needed Baldrake, and then we're going to go Baldrake effect, banishing the Valon. So now we have extra deck monster disruption, as well as 2 pop and any draw we get off of the Runick. He's going to go Sachi here, search himself for the Mitsurugi Prayers, or Ritual, my bad, and then Ritual effect, he's going to Ritual summon from the deck. And that's the really scary part, because that means Murakumo is coming. And this time, I don't have a Typhon to protect me. Murakumo is here, has hit the board. He's on summon, going to destroy all monsters my opponent controls. So I try to tribute it just to get rid of its other effect, which says you can activate this effect to make your opponent discard, and if they don't discard, your effect is negated. I decide not to discard because I need the Runick in my hand in order to draw with my Runick Fountain, so my board ended up getting wiped and the Murakumo is staying there. Luckily for me, I still have my completely unaffected Dragon That Devours Dogma. Mitsurugi doesn't have a really good way to deal with this card because it is unaffected by all effects, not just activated effects, and K9 certainly can't deal with it without an access code talker play or something like that, so he's kind of just stuck. So he's forced to pass back to me, so I get to go Fallen in the Virtuous, target his Murakumo in the end phase, sending my Titanclad, and then still in this same end phase, I get to trigger my Titanclad to summon from the deck my Quem. Quem has no targets here, so it's because both of the targets are in the graveyard. And then I'm going to go Slumber, target his Saji just to protect it, and I forget to tell him to banish off the top of his deck here. So let's do an interesting ruling question. Let's say my opponent has Artifact Lancia, which says that during your opponent's turn, you contribute this card from your face-up field or your hand, and either player can banish for the rest of the turn. Would I be able to activate my effect of Runick Slumber that says, target one face-up monster on the field, the next time that monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, it is not destroyed, then you must banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck? The answer in this case would be no, you cannot activate Runick Slumber, because the banish is not optional. Now, let's use another example. Let's say I have E Purely Plump instead, which says thrice per turn, when you activate a purely quick play spell, you can attach that card to this card as a material. Then you can banish one monster on the field until the end phase. Would I be able to attach my quick play spell to my E Purely Plump? In this case, yes. You can attach the quick play spell to the Plump because the banish is optional. Now, let's say I activate Runick Slumber, then they chain Lancia. In this case, you would be able to protect a monster, but you would not banish. So then we're going to go Runick Fountain for 1, and then we're going to draw for our turn, drawing a Quem that we just summoned. We're going to go Tip to add here. Tip is going to add us a Flashing Fire, banish 1 off the top of his deck. And then we're gonna go thinking about our plays here. We don't really have too much, so we're just gonna normal summon Quem. I was thinking about going into the SP or some type of extra deck play, but I decided just to leave it at this. I decided to keep my Reborn Albaz play for his turn. So on his turn, he's gonna go straight into the Typhon, but he can't do that because all I did was normal summon a singular Quem, so he's kind of stuck just staring at my board. I'm guessing he drew dead, so I'm gonna go a Flashing Fire on the Azuna here, so I can trigger my Runick Fountain just to draw for 2, so I can draw 2 cards off the top of my deck. And we drew some Bystials, so my next turn is going to be pretty strong. He doesn't have too much else here, so we have no end phase effects, so we're going to draw for turn. Then I'm going to go Bystial Lubellion search for any Bystial monster. I'm going to go ahead and search for the Serenir. Serenir effect is going to banish any card from his graveyard. I'm going to go for the Murakumo, so he can't reborn it. Then we're going to use Lubellion's second effect to replace any Bystial monster with itself, and then it gets to use his during the main phase effect to set that much needed Brand Regained. Then I'm going to pass back to my opponent. Brand Regain has that effect to reborn a Bystial, so during his turn he's going to banish my Quem. Now I am affected. The Dogma is not have any protections right now. Now he just needs to get over 3,000. But because he's summoned, I get to trigger both effects of Brand Regain here to draw 1 card and reborn a Bystial. And he's just making sure that's what my card do. Big think here, he's just going to end up going normal summon Jokul effect to add 1 K9 monster. I didn't activate anything in hand or grave this turn, so he can't summon his Azuna and his Lupus for free, so he's kind of just stuck with an Azuna in hand right now. And any extra deck plays, my Baldrake would be able to check instantly. So straight into the battle phase here, he's gonna go Magnemite, try to attack into the Baldrake. I don't want him to go into the extra deck in main phase 2, so I do decide to go Flashing Fire here. I didn't want to because it locks me out of the battle phase for the next turn again, so I am just going to have to wait. So I'm going to use a Runick Fountain 1 for 1, and he's going to go clear my Quem, so I have 1 less body. And that's the first damage of the game, minus 500. Drawing for turn, a Flashing Fire. We're going to go Flashing Fire on to summon out our Huggin. Just to trigger the Quem, Quem says when a card left the extra deck, you get to summon a Fallen of Albaz or a card that mentions it from his grave. I tried to fuse here, but I realized, hey, I have nothing to fuse into. All the wrong types. That's the downside of Albaz. So we're just going to go 2 bodies here into the Chaos Angel, which is honestly a lot scarier for my opponent, because now I have 2 completely unaffected bodies on my field if I can get my Ecclesia back into my graveyard. Then we're going to go 2 bodies into the SP Little Knight, which also can banish another card on the field, just clearing his board completely, making sure there's no follow-up. Alright, drawing for turn here. He's just making sure, he's just reading my effects of the Chaos Angel. It's completely unaffected, can't be destroyed. None of my cards can be destroyed by battle. He's gonna go Jokul reveal the Azuna here, summon both onto the field. This triggers my Branded Regain to special summon my Baldrake to check any extra deck plays once again. And even if you put these in attack here to check my Baldrake, I wouldn't be able to destroy by battle because of the Chaos Angel. This is just completely doomed for him. So he's just gonna add himself an Azuna off of the Jokul and just stare and see if there's anything he can do. He's gonna go Typhon here because I did summon the SP and the Chaos Angel. I'm gonna banish it and then put it back in his deck just to draw a singular card. Everything into attack position now. We did not use a Runick last turn, so we get to go all out in the battle phase. Battle phase here, just calculating the numbers. We're going to make sure we have lethal. We don't need to normal summon this Foo Loss or anything, and we realize we are set. So going into the battle phase here, we're going to just think, still calculating. So we're going to go Baldrake into the Jokul. No damage yet, 35 to the face, as well as 3,000 to the face, and another 16 for game. Thanks y'all for watching. Come catch me in the next one.